Everyone thinks that if you spend 3 hours a day mindlessly scrolling on your phone, you just have weak willpower. We're told that highly productive people possess iron discipline. And if we want to succeed, we just need to white-knuckle our way through the distraction. We download aggressive app blockers. We lock our phones in drawers. We punish ourselves with intense guilt. And we try to force our brains into submission. But that is completely wrong. The truth is your inability to put your phone down is not a moral failing. It is a neurological hijacking. Tech companies spend billions of dollars to engineer your apps to be as addictive as slot machines. You don't need more discipline to fight a billion-dollar algorithm. And you definitely don't need to torture yourself. You just need to outsmart your own dopamine system. Today, I'm going to show you 5 completely counter-intuitive reverse operations that will help you put down your phone and achieve deep focus painlessly. These hacks aren't about trying harder, they're about trying differently. If you implement these strategies, you'll naturally stop craving your screen, and entering a state of deep work will feel effortless. So, let's jump right in. 1. They make the phone visually boring. When average people try to quit their phones, they rely on restriction. They delete their social media apps, only to re-download them in a moment of weakness 2 hours later. The forbidden fruit effect just makes the brain crave the apps even more. It is a constant, exhausting battle of willpower. Smart people use a reverse operation. They don't block the apps. They just kill the dopamine reward. They go into their phone settings and turn the screen completely grayscale. No vibrant red notification badges. No neon-colored videos. No infinite scroll of glossy images, just a dull, lifeless gray screen. Your brain is biologically wired to seek out bright, high-contrast colors. Because in nature, that signifies ripe fruit and high energy. By turning your phone gray, you strip away the slot machine aesthetics. Suddenly, scrolling through Instagram feels like reading a dusty textbook. You don't need willpower to put the phone down, because your brain simply gets bored and decides to do something else. 2. They schedule their distractions. This sounds like terrible advice, but it is a psychological game changer. Usually, we try to schedule our focus time and vow to avoid distractions at all costs. But the more you try to suppress a thought, the louder it gets in your head. If you tell yourself, do not look at your phone, your brain becomes absolutely obsessed with your phone. Top performers reverse the script. Instead of scheduling focus, they schedule their doom scrolling. They give themselves strategic distraction windows. They'll set an alarm and say, for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to scroll on TikTok as intensely as humanly possible. They remove the guilt from the activity. When you make distraction a scheduled, mandatory task, it completely loses its psychological grip on you. It is no longer a rebellious escape from work. It is just another item on your calendar. By giving the monster a specific time to eat, it stops trying to break into your brain during the rest of the day. 3. They practice urge surfing instead of fighting. Whenever you hit a difficult, boring part of your work, an urge arises. Your brain whispers, just check your phone for 1 second. Average people either violently fight this urge, depleting their mental energy, or they cave in immediately. People with effortless focus practice a mindfulness technique called urge surfing. They treat the craving like an ocean wave. When the urge to check their phone hits, they don't say no. Saying no creates friction and anxiety. Instead, they say, not right now. I'll check my phone in exactly 10 minutes. They acknowledge the craving, but they delay the gratification. Here is the magic. An urge is a biological spike that typically lasts less than 3 minutes. By the time the 10-minute timer goes off, the wave has crashed. The urge has completely evaporated, and you're already back in the flow of your work. You don't fight the craving. You just let it pass right through you. 4. They engineer the friction of their environment. We have a massive misconception about highly focused people. We think they sit at desks with their phones, buzzing right next to them, using sheer mental fortitude to ignore the screen. That is a myth. Willpower is a battery that drains every time you resist a temptation. The elite understand that friction is infinitely more powerful than willpower. If you want to stop a bad habit, you don't need discipline. You just need to add 20 seconds of friction. When they sit down to work, they don't just put their phone face down. They put it in another room. Or they put it inside a zipped backpack, on the top shelf of a closet. If you feel the urge to check your phone, but it requires you to stand up, walk to another room, open a closet, and unzip a bag, your lazy brain will literally calculate the physical effort and decide, you know what? It is not worth it. You don't have to be strong if you design an environment where it is physically inconvenient to be distracted. 5. They set an embarrassingly low bar for action. Why do we pick up our phones in the first place? Because starting a difficult task feels overwhelming. Your brain looks at a massive project and feels pain. So it seeks the immediate, cheap comfort of a screen. We try to force ourselves by saying, I'm going to sit here and work for 3 hours straight. That massive expectation creates massive resistance. The ultimate reverse operation is to lower the starting threshold to an embarrassingly small level. When you can't focus, tell yourself, I'm only going to work for 2 minutes. I'm just going to write one single sentence, or format one cell on this spreadsheet, and then I can stop. You completely remove the pressure. Anyone can work for 2 minutes. But here is the psychological trick. An object in motion stays in motion. The hardest part of any task is overcoming the initial static friction. Once you write that one sentence, the anxiety breaks. You're already in the document. Your hands are on the keyboard. And suddenly, 2 minutes turns into 2 hours of deep, unbroken flow. Here's what you need to remember. Your phone isn't evil, and you aren't broken. You're just fighting a biological war with the wrong weapons. Stop relying on guilt and willpower. Turn your screen gray to kill the dopamine. Schedule your scroll time to remove the taboo. Surf the urges instead of fighting them. Move your phone to another room to create physical friction. And whenever you feel stuck, just ask yourself to do 2 minutes of work. Most people will keep trying to use brute force to lock away their phones, and they'll keep failing and feeling miserable. But if you practice these 5 reverse operations, you'll effortlessly glide into deep focus. You'll get more done in 3 hours than most people do in a week. And you won't even feel like you're trying. Right now, pick just one of these hacks. Maybe right after this video ends. You go into your settings and turn your screen grayscale.